Man, this bike is so loud, but I just love running this MotoGP pipe on here. So I just recently did an oil change on this bike, and I learned a couple new things. I've been changing my own oil for years, and I learned a couple new things that I thought I should bring this to you guys, this information. And I mean, even if you've been changing your oil for a long time, there's some information here that you should know. And if you're not changing your own oil, why are you paying a dealer to work on your bike? The hassle of taking it to the dealer and leaving it there. You really should be changing your own oil, guys. My recent new information was learning about the weights of oils. You know, we always see 10W40, 10W50, 15W50. The W stands for winter. So the bottom number, the smaller number, is how well it lubricates or how thin it is in cold temperature. Number 10W is thinner than 15W, which means in colder temperatures it's going to lubricate better. And the higher number is the capability of the oil when under operating temperatures. So the higher the number, the better the lubrication. With that being said, I live in California, so I chose 15W50 because this Aprilia RS-V4 runs pretty hot, usually around 220 degrees max, and it doesn't really get that cold here, so I went with 15 weight, or 15W. Oh, fogging up. Oh my god. My look back camera is upside down right now. It's supposed to be on auto flip. Anyhow, so alright, something that I used to always do that I think I recently read is not recommended is do not warm up your engine, because when you shut off your bike, your engine was hot and all the oil dropped down low, right? If you start your motor, you're just going to take all that oil and you're going to recirculate it through the motor and bring it back up high. And plus, who wants to be working on a hot engine? You know, that's no fun. Oh, another thing, if oil change intervals. I tried contacting one of the oil companies to find out, why don't you tell anybody when they should be changing their oil? And they would not tell me. They said there's too many variables based on the operating temperatures in your area, how you ride your bike, if you're doing track days. Personally, I run 100% synthetic, and in this bike I'm running, what's the name? Well, I'll put it on the screen. It's kind of a weird name. Nice lake. Few things you need to know before you start dropping the oil out of your bike. I recommend like a K&N era oil filter, because it has a nut on the end and it makes the filter easier to get off. You put a wrench on it, you just twist it, comes right off. If you can, while you're at the dealership, get a couple of oil drain bolt crush washers. Well, it's not really a crush washer, it's just a washer. But if you don't get one, it's okay. You can use that washer a couple times. But it's recommended that you put a fresh drain bolt washer on every time. It's just a smart thing to do, but you don't have to do it. Make sure on these street bikes you get a large drain pan or bowl, because I had to use two. There's so much oil in these bikes. My bike holds almost 4 liters of oil. That's the full jug that I bought. And this oil's not cheap, man. Retail on this jug of oil was 70 bucks. If I would have went with MOTO 300V, it would have been more like 80 bucks. I'm not going to split. Don't feel like it. The first thing you want to do is remove your side fairing. It's usually the right side. Every bike's different. My bike was the right side. It may seem daunting the first time, but once you figure out how to get that fairing off, it's no big deal like the second time around. Then remove your drain bolt. Now be careful when you pull this drain bolt out. Don't lose the washer. It might fall into the drain pan, whatever. Just keep an eye on that washer at all times. Make sure when you put the drain pan under the bike, you move the pan forward, because that oil usually shoots out like straight out. It's not going to just drop straight down. It's under pressure, so if it's going to shoot straight out and you got your pan right underneath the bolt, right under the drain, you know, you might miss it, and that's a bad mess. Nobody wants to clean that up. After you get the drain bolt out, let it drain for a while, and a few minutes, and then pull the oil filter off, and just give the oil some time to drain. We'll let it Let the oil run until it's just barely coming out anymore. You don't have to wait until every last drop comes out. That'd take forever. Then the first thing I do is I put the drain bolt back in, tighten it down, and, you know, don't over tighten it, just snug it pretty good. You know, you might want to torque it. I don't torque mine. It's just, I just don't do that. And then you want to put the oil filter on. Now, before you put your oil filter back on the bike, you want to prime it. And what I mean by prime is take some of your fresh oil, put it on your finger, and wipe it around the rubber O-ring seal. And then you also want to fill, Jesus, people, don't you guys just make love? Oh my God. Woohoo, skinny. After you lube the oil ring, you also want to fill the oil filter up with your new fresh oil to about 1/3. Pour some oil in it, give it a minute to absorb into the filter. Look in there, put a little more in till it's about 1/3. If you go a little over, just pour some out. You know, you should be fine. The reason you only want to do 1/3 is because your oil filter usually installs horizontally, and if you put in more oil than that, it's just going to leak out and make a mess. Stay right here behind this Prius. Is that the Kleb? Now when you put your oil filter on, if you have a oil filter with the hex end on it, like the Gaerne, just put it on like really hand tight, as hard as you can, hand tight. If you want to just crank it just a little bit more with a wrench, that's great. I made the mistake of buying the OEM filter and it didn't have the hex head on the end, so I just took, come on over, at least it uses signal. I just put it on hand tight. I crank it down as hard as I can by hand. It's not going to go anywhere. I'm almost done with this video, so I'm going to pull over in this parking lot before I get on the freeway. I get on the freeway with this bike, you're not going to be able to hear anything because it's so stinking loud. Crap. Facing the sun. Alright, let's shut this thing off. So now you got the drain plug in, now you got the filter on. Maybe go ahead and start the bike and just make sure you don't have any oil leaks, just to be safe before you put your shrouds back on, your fairings. Put your fairings back on, put in the required amount of oil. My bike is 3.9 liters. I had a 4-liter jug, so I knew if I put almost all the oil in, I'd be good. But my bike has a dipstick. Your bike might have a glass window. Usually if you fill the oil up to about halfway on the glass window, you're good. I filled my dipstick up to about halfway. Now, some people are like, yeah, just fire up your engine for a few minutes and then check it again. Wrong. Jump on your bike and ride it for about 9 miles until the oil gets up to operating temperature. It doesn't warm up that quick. So what I did was I got on my bike, I rode down to the gas station and back. That's about 9 miles. Came back, checked my oil again, added just a little bit, done. Now when you check your oil, don't have your bike sitting up on the center stand. That kind of changes the angle of the bike. Make sure it's both tires are on the ground and the bike, just kind of lean it, put it on the kickstand, and then when you're checking it, just kind of level it out. Check it that way. And there you have it. Now you're doing your own oil changes, man. You can take pride in yourself, save yourself time, save yourself money and hassle. Anyways, guys, that's it for this video. I'm going to head on home, grab me some dinner. Hope you enjoyed it. Hope this helps you, and I'll see you guys next Monday.